well, it's just reappointments. So you want me to let, we have a form, you want me to just have them move forward on it?
I'll have to second because she's not here.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. No problem. Thanks.
Have it.
Yep, thanks.
You want me ready?
Yeah, yeah, she said we go, she's on it.
I will call the Intra-Governmental Relations Committee meeting to order at 7:37 p.m. Present are committee members Gilchrist and Scarl, council members Kelly, Limpert, Williamson, Mayor Daley Jones, Director of Finance Caucus, is not here. Director of Law Bureau, Director of Economic and Community Development Upton, Director of Human Resources Kidd, Director of Service Carney, Director of Safety Schofield, Director of Recreation. The purpose of this evening's meeting is to consider the mayor's reappointment of several individuals to various city boards and commissions for the term indicated. The recommendations are as follows. Reappointment of Dan Rahm to the Building and Zoning Board of Appeals for a 5-year term ending December 31st, 2026. Reappointment of Jim Morris and Gretchen Schuler to the Landmarks Commission for a 2-year term ending December 31st, 2023. Reappointment of Ed Garrity to the Recreation Commission for a 4-year term ending December 31st, 2025. Reappointment of Julie Nader to the Planning and Design Commission for a 5-year term ending December 31st, 2026. Mr. Scarl, as a member of the committee, do you have any questions before I open it up to council?
At this time, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So at this point, I will open up to the rest of the council. Are there any questions? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a comment. I'm familiar with all 5 of these individuals, and their bodies of work are excellent. So I'm glad that they're re-upping.
Wonderful. Any further questions or comments? Seeing no further questions, I move that the Intra-Governmental Relations Committee recommend approval of the reappointments of Dan Rahm to the Building and Zoning Board of Appeals for a 5-year term ending December 31st, 2026. Jim Morris to the Landmarks Commission for a 2-year term ending December 31st, 2023. Gretchen Schuler to the Landmarks Commission for a 2-year term ending December 31st, 2023. Ed Garrity to the Recreation Commission for a 4-year term ending December 31st, 2025. Julie Nader to the Planning and Design Commission for a 5-year term ending December 31st, 2026. Motion made by Ms. Gilchrist, seconded by?
Councilman Scarl, second.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? The motion passes 2-0. With nothing else on my agenda, the Intergovernmental Relations Committee will conclude at 7:40.
Yes, I was actually driving by there when they had getting ready to start. I stopped for a second. I got an hour for it. You said you were gonna sit over there. I'm like, so what? Oh, okay. It's okay. So I said, yeah. Yes. So. This is yellow to get across the street in the blind guy who lives in one of the houses, and the tree's not on his tree, he's got a tree that's drooping over into the street, and trucks hit it. He says he feels sorry for the guy because he hit down with a lot. But I assume it's gonna be in January. Thank you. And, Mr. Starr, what the last 2 months? We can do the traffic light. See that?
Legitimate question.
It was so funny. They didn't get more salt.
The caucus meeting of April 19th, 2022 will now come to order at 7:45 p.m. Present are all of council, the mayor, directors Carney, Upton, Kidd, Schofield, Garreau, Copper, and guests. There are 9 items on the agenda being requested for suspension this evening. The first is 2022-27, which is on second reading. Mayor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President, and just to reiterate my comments to council, per Councilman Kelly, the brief discussion that we had earlier this evening, it's not our intention to consistently come to council and ask for so many things under suspension. As you'll find this evening, what we're requesting are mostly equipment purchases, and then also at the end of your agenda, the American Rescue Plan legislation as well. So those were the items that that we're asking for your consideration this evening. And on second reading, ordinance 2022-27 is updating the organizational chart for the Public Service Department, which was heard in committee with Director Carney from last week. And the reason for the request for suspension is because the sooner that council authorizes this, then the sooner they can go to civil service to have that heard before that body, and then the storm foreman then could proceed with being hired.
Thank you, Mayor. Any objections from council to suspension? Seeing none, the second item is 2022-28, which is also on second reading. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mr. President. 28 is the donation to the North Olmsted Police Station from Dick's Sporting Goods, the exercise equipment that council heard from Director Schofield last week on this. And the reason for suspension is just the faster that council authorizes us to accept that donation, the faster it can get into our police officers department for their use.
Thank you, Mayor. Any objections from council on suspension? Seeing none. Third item is 2022-32, which is on first reading. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to ask Director Carney to speak on the next few items, please.
Mr. President, 32, 33, 34, and 35 were all brought to the council before for budget hearings. And because of COVID, they didn't ask for a lot of big name items, big purchases during the last 2 years, and these were all necessary items. And the longer we wait, the longer we may know when we'll get them. And it's I know it's, asking for suspension and emergencies is a thorn in people's sides, and I agree totally, but this is just something that we need all these items ASAP.
Thank you, Director. I'm just gonna one off these though for council. 32 is a hook lift snow and ice truck package with a dump body and a hopper spreader from Concord Road Equipment. Any any objection from council to suspension on this item? Okay, seeing none. 33 is a truck chassis and cab for an International HV 507. And that one is at $87,357. Any objection from council?
I just had a quick question. How far off are all these prices from what we had originally kind of budgeted for? Is the finance director know that?
I believe they're all within the,
Within that framework? Okay, thanks.
All right, next is 34 is a Bobcat skid steer loader from Clark Equipment Company. Any objections from council on suspension?
Mr. Chair, the other items are all state purchase price, so there's already a bidding process in effect that has gone through. What's the story on this one?
Mr. Chair. I think I noticed that, Mr. President, because I was wondering why it didn't say under state purchase, because I thought we were getting into that. And in the body of the ordinance, it does say state purchase, it just doesn't say it in the title.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any objection to suspension? And then the last one in this grouping is 35, which is a Ford F-450 truck with camera inspection equipment. Any objection to suspension on that one? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to the seventh item, this is 2022-39 on first reading. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. This resolution is the ARPA resolution that incorporates the details that we had discussed in the Finance Committee of last week with council.
Thank you. Any objections from council to suspension on this? Seeing none. Eighth item is 2022-40, which is on first reading. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. The transfer ordinance, and correct me if I'm wrong, Director Copper, but this outlines the movement of funds from ARPA to the economic development study that that we spoke about with council last week in the finance committee. I'm sorry, the finance committee.
Mr. President, it's appropriating the funds in the ARPA fund for that project.
Any objections from council to suspension? Seeing none. The ninth and final item is 2022-41 on first reading. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to ask that Director Upton address 41.
Mr. President, all members of council, the resolution that was provided by CT Consultants that initially enabled this application had an error that was caught at the last minute. This resolution corrects that error, namely the fund type, was further described in this resolution. It wasn't described in what was given to us by CT Consultants, previously. So that's the reason we're asking for suspension is so that we can correct how to move the DEFA application forward.
Got it. Any objections from council to suspension on 41?
Just a question, Mr. Chair, is this pertaining to the reservoir that's on the former school property?
Correct. It's the EQ Basin project.
Screws. All right. Moving on to assigning legislation, resolution 2022-31, 36, and 37 will all be going into finance. And ordinance 2022-38 will be assigned to recreation, public parks and buildings. So moving on to scheduling committee meetings, before we do that, I wanted to let everyone know that we're going to be scheduling a committee of the whole meeting next Tuesday, the 26th, beginning at 6 p.m. And this is for the tour of the Chagrin Valley Dispatch Center. So believing that this might take us later into the evening, if everyone's in agreement, can we consider these committee meetings for Wednesday, May 4th, keeping in mind that Tuesday the 3rd is election day? So that would be finance and recreation. Any objection?
No objection.
Councilwoman?
Yeah.
You good? Okay. All right, so with everyone in agreement, then we can proceed with scheduling those meetings for Wednesday, May 4th. Councilman Glassburn, would you like to schedule finance?
Since we're backing into a council meeting, I'm not sure how long is needed on the back end. So I don't foresee 31, 36, or 37 taking more than 20 minutes, so. No, I don't know how long you want for your pay, chair.
I mean, it's kind of a meaty subject, but I don't know that it's gonna take more than probably 15, 20, 30 times, so. It doesn't matter, Councilman, if you'd like to have that go first and then hold your finance, or we'll just follow up with finance, so you can choose if you like.
Try for 7?
Sure. 7 to 7:20, is that what I heard?
Sure.
Okay. All right, 7 to 7:20 for finance, and then recreation will begin immediately following.
Yeah, for 2022-38, to start at 7:20.
President, do we wanna try to be ambitious and start at 7:15, just so we don't get like
A gap in case there's more
in case
time.
there's a gap or
Good
something?
idea.
Does that make sense? That way, if this one, ours only takes 15 minutes. then
Okay,
there's
so
more
7
time for
to
this.
7:15. Okay, got it.
Alright, and then recreation will be 7:15, 7:30 usual.
All right, I think we're good to go there. Lastly, we'll be scheduling a virtual public hearing on May 24th, 2022 at 7 p.m. to discuss ordinance 2022-26. Does anyone on council have anything else they wish to bring up this evening? Anything from the administration?
Mr. President, just a reminder that firefighters will be sworn in at tonight's meeting.
All right, seeing nothing else, the caucus meeting of April 19th, 2022 is adjourned at 7:56 p.m.
Did we have the salt still?
Just a minute.
the clouds up, the second row.
Yes.
Good, how are you? And then it's gone, like 3 hours later.
Yeah, when does the salt, like